Hello guys, and welcome to another sewing tutorial. My name is Ihuoma Judith, and today I'll be showing you how to cut and sew a simple pencil skirt with a butt contour. And I'm going to be making use of a plain fabric. You can make use of any fabric of your choice. So if this is something you're interested in, if this is something you would love to know how to make, then let's get right into the video. So I started by folding my fabric into two. And to know the amount of fabric you fold is, you divide your hip by 4, and whatever you get, you add about 4 inches, okay? So on the beginning of my fabric like this, I'm going to draw a straight line. This is going to serve as my starting line. So that starting line can also be called our waistline. So the next measurement I'll be taking is my waist to hip measurement. So my waist to hip measurement is 9 inches, but because I'm making use of a 1.5 inches waistband, I removed 1.5 inches from the actual measurement like this. So I went ahead and marked across my fabric and ruled a straight line. So if you're making use of a 1 inches waistband, 2 inches waistband, make sure you remove it from the actual measurement, then you go ahead and mark like this. So now the next measurement I'll be taking is my full length measurement. So the full length I'm working with is 21.5 inches, which is slightly above my knee. So as usual, I removed 1.5 inches from my actual measurement like this, and I am marked, just because I am going to replace that measurement with my waistband, okay? So I went ahead and marked my full length measurement, which is 21.5 inches, across my fabric like this. With my ruler, I went ahead to draw a straight line, okay? So after that, now the next measurement I'll be taking is my folding allowance. So from my full length measurement, I went down by 1.5 inches, and I marked across my fabric like this. And with my ruler, I went ahead to draw a straight line. So this is going to be my folding allowance, okay? So now I'm done with my vertical measurements. So the next thing I'm going to do is, on my waistline, I'm going to go ahead and divide my waist round by 4 and mark. So my waist round is 33 inches, divided by 4 is 8.25 inches, and I marked. And I'm going to go ahead and add extra 1 inches for my dart. Here I marked 1/2 inch, but I went ahead to correct it later. So add extra 1 inches for your dart. On the hip line, I'm going to divide my hip round by 4, and whatever I get, I mark. So my hip round is 44 inches, divided by 4 is 11 inches, and I marked. So on my full length measurement, I'm going to mark whatever I got at my hip line minus 1.5 inches. So on the hip line, I got 11 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and minus 1.5 inches, which will give me 9.5 inches. And I went ahead and mark, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and extend that line to my folding allowance, 9.5 inches, and I mark. If you want your skirt to be more fitted, you can go ahead and minus 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead now and connect the marks together like this, creating my skirt curve, okay? So like I said, if you want your pencil skirt to be more fitted, go ahead and minus 2 inches from your hip line measurement and mark at the full length line. So now on the waistline, I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 plus 1/2 inch. So my nipple to nipple measurement is 7 inches, divided by 2 is 3.5 inches, plus 1/2 inch is 4 inches. So I marked at 4 inches. So on that 4 inches mark, I'm going to go down by 5 inches. That is how long my dart is going to be. And with my ruler, I'm going to go ahead and connect the marks together, drawing a straight line, okay? So now on that line that I drew, I'm going to be going in by 1/2 inch on both sides like this, and I'm going to go ahead now and connect those marks down to that my 5 inches line. So with my ruler, I'm just going to go ahead now and connect this line. So that is how our dart is going to be, okay? So this 1 inches dart is what we added on the waistline earlier, okay? So now the next thing I'm going to do is, on the center front of my skirt like this, I'm going to be going down from the waistline by 1 inch, and I'm going to go ahead and create a curve upwards to the waistline on the side of our skirt, just the way I'm doing it. So go ahead and create a curve like this, okay? So this curve is going to help our skirt fit properly at our waist or at our tummy side, okay? So now the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and add my seam allowance. So I'll be adding a seam allowance of about 1.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark 1.5 inches straight down like this. And I'm going to go ahead now and connect it with my chalk like this. And with that, we have finished creating the front piece of our skirt. So I'm going to go ahead now with my scissors and cut out my skirt shape like this, okay? So go ahead and follow up the lines like this and cut out your skirt shape, and you've gotten your front piece. Okay, now so under that line, I'm going to go ahead now and create a notch, okay? So this notch is going to be showing on the both side of the skirt, okay? So that is going to show me where my dart is going to be. So I'll fold my fabric like this, and I'm going to go ahead and sew half an inch straight down, creating a slanted shape like this until I meet where my dart is going to stop. And on the other side that I notched, I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same process, okay? So I'll go ahead and do that and keep this aside. Now for the cutting of our back piece. Okay, so I've also folded my fabric into two like this, and to know the amount of fabric you're going to fold in, you divide your hip by 4, and whatever you get, you add about 6 inches. So as usual, I'm going to go ahead now and draw a straight line on the edge of my fabric. This is going to serve as my starting line, all right? So after that now, on the center front of my fabric like this, I'm going to go ahead and go in by 2 inches, okay? So I'll go ahead and mark 2 inches straight down. This is going to be for my zipper allowance. And with my ruler, I'm going to go ahead and connect the marks together, creating a straight line, okay? Okay, now that I'm done, the next thing I'm going to do is to input my vertical measurement. So I'll measure my waist to my hip, which is 9 inches, and I'll go ahead and mark. And as usual, as you can see, I removed that 1.5 inches for my waistband, okay? So I'll go ahead and mark across my fabric like this, and with my ruler, I'm going to go ahead and draw a straight line. So after that, the next measurement I'll be taking is my full length measurement, which is 21.5 inches. And like I told you earlier, it's slightly above my knee, okay? So I'll go ahead and remove that 1.5 inches for our waistband, and I'm going to go ahead and mark my full length measurement, which is that 21.5 inches. And I'll go ahead and mark it across my fabric like this. And with my ruler, I drew a straight line, and I also added extra 1.5 inches for folding allowance, okay? So now on my waistline, I'm going to be taking my waist round measurement divided by 4, which is 8.25, and I'm going to mark. And remember, I'm going to be taking my measurement from that my zipper line, okay? Then after that, now I'm going to add extra 1 inches for my dart allowance, and I mark. So the next measurement I'll be taking is on my hip line measurement. So on the hip line, I'm going to divide my hip round by 4, and it's 11 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and mark 11 inches. And remember that we'll be taking our measurement from that zipper line, okay? And on the full length line, whatever we get at that our hip line, we are going to still mark it at the full length. So I'll go ahead and mark that 11 inches at the full length line. So on that line now, I'm going to now go in by 1 inches, okay? So remember that on the front piece we went in by 1.5 inches, but here we are going in by 1 inches. So I'm now going to go ahead now and connect the marks together like this, okay? So just go ahead and follow it up the way I'm doing it like this, okay? So now the next thing I'm going to do is on my waistline, remember I added 1 inches for that allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it from the center back like this. So I'll go ahead and go in by 1 inches from the zipper line, and I'm going to go ahead and connect that 1 inches mark to my hip line like this, okay? And like this now, we have eliminated our dart allowance, okay? So on my full length line, remember I went in by 1 inches instead of 1.5 inches. So on the zipper line, I'm going to take in the remaining 1/2 inches like this, and I'm going to go ahead now and connect that 1/2 inch to the waistline like this, okay? So if you went in by 2 inches, you just go ahead and remove 1 inches on both sides. Just that simple, okay? So go ahead now and connect the marks together like this. So now the next thing we are going to do is to go ahead and create our new zipper line. Okay, so from the new curves that I've created, I'm going to go ahead and go out by 1.5 inches. Okay, this is going to be for my zipper allowance. All right, so after I'm done, I'm just going to go ahead and connect the marks together. Okay, so that is now my new zipper allowance. So yeah, I'm just extending the line down to my folding allowance. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my seam allowance or sewing allowance of about 1.5 inches on the side of my skirt like this, and I'm going to go ahead now and connect the marks together. So now that I'm done, I'm just going to go ahead now with my scissors and cut out the lines. Okay, so go ahead and do the same, and with that we have finished cutting out our back piece. And as you can see, the back piece is into two like this, one for the left and one for the right side. All right, so for the front piece, we have gone ahead and we have created our dart, and this is how the outside is looking like, and also this is how the inside is also looking like. Remember, we went in by 1/2 inch and we created that slanted line. Okay, so now the next thing we are going to do is to go ahead and measure out the full waistline. Okay, this is for the creating of our band. So the full waistline I'm getting here is about 19 inches. Okay, so I went ahead now to cut out my gum stay of 1.5 inches, which is the exact waistband I'm working with. Okay, so go ahead and cut out your gum stay of the exact waistband that you're working with. And because the gum stay I'm using is a light one, I went ahead to cut out two. So I'm just going to go ahead and double it like this to give it more strength. So if your gum stay is the strong one, just go ahead and cut out one. Okay, so I also went ahead to cut out the fabric I'll be using for my waistband, and the width of the fabric is about 4.5 inches. Okay, so I added extra 3 inches to the actual waistband measurement. So whatever you're using for your waistband, add extra 3 inches to the fabric you'll be using for the waistband. Okay, and the length I cut out is about 22 inches, which is slightly longer than the actual waist measurement. So I just like making my own longer than it. Okay, so the same thing with my gum stay, I made it around that 22 inches. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go ahead now and place it on the edge of my fabric like this, leaving about 1/2 inch. Okay, so you place it on one edge of the fabric that we'll be using to make our waistband, leaving about 1/2 inch like this. So I'll just go ahead and double my gum stay on my fabric like this to give it more strength. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that. Next, I'm going to be cutting the waistband for my back piece, but before that I'm going to go ahead and indicate where my zipper is going to be, not to get confused. Okay, because the both side is having a slight curve. So here I measured my full waistline and I got 11 inches, and remember we are going to be cutting two, which is for the left and the right side. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've already cut out my gum stay that I'll be using to give strength to my band. And remember that my gum stay is the light one, that is why I went ahead to double it. Okay, this is to give more strength to my band. Okay, and the width of my gum stay is 1.5 inches like we did earlier, and the length of my gum stay is about 15.5 inches, which is longer than the actual waistline of my back piece. So I'm going to go ahead now and keep that back piece aside so that I can work on the waistband. So I've gone ahead and I've cut out the fabric that I'll be using for my waistband. As you can see, it's 2 pieces, which will be for the left and the right side of my back piece. And also the width of my band is about 4.5 inches, while the length is 15 inches. So like I said, on the width, add extra 3 inches to your actual waistband measurement on your fabric. Okay, and the length of the fabric, just make it slightly longer just to be on the safe side. All right, so you go ahead and place your gum stay on your fabric like this, leaving about 1/2 inch on the edge of the fabric like this. And I'll also go ahead and fold down this other end by 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'll go ahead and repeat the same on my other fabric. I'll place my gum stay at one end of the fabric like this, leaving about 1/2 inch. Okay, and I'll go ahead and gum it down. Then the other end of my fabric, I'm going to go ahead and fold it in by 1/2 inch. So guys, I've already gone ahead and I've done that. As you can see, I've gummed down my gum stay and I folded the other end by 1/2 inch like this. So I'll go ahead now and keep this my 2 back piece so that we can work on the front piece of our waistband. Okay, so now I've brought out my front piece of my skirt like this, and I'm going to go ahead now and join my waistband to my skirt like this. So on the waistline of my skirt, I'm going to go ahead and place my waistband right side facing the right side like this, and I'm going to go ahead and pin it down. So notice the way I placed my band on my skirt waistline. As you can see, I brought out the band by few inches on both sides. Okay, so I went ahead now to pin them down like this, and after pinning it down, I'm going to go ahead and sew half an inch straight down, joining the waistband to the skirt. So I'll go ahead now and repeat the same process on my two back piece. So I'm going to place my waistband on the skirt waistline like this, right side facing the right side. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and pin it down, and notice how there's no dart at our back piece. That's because we have already removed it. Okay, so go ahead and make sure that you place your waistband like this. That means we're going to be joining the waistband to the skirt by that half an inch that we left. Okay, so I did that on my two back piece like this, and I'm going to go ahead and sew straight down. Okay guys, so as you can see, I've gone ahead and I've joined down my waistband to my skirt on my two back piece and also on the front piece like this. So I'll go ahead now and keep the back piece aside so we can fold in our waistband on the front piece. Okay, so you go ahead now and turn over your waistband like this, as you can see, and you're going to go ahead and balance it up, and we're going to use that our gum stay as a base for how our waistband is going to be. Remember that our gum stay is around 1.5 inches, which is the length we want for our waistband. Okay, so you go ahead and fold in the other end like this, making sure that that joining of our fabric is inside the waistband like this. If you're not understanding what I'm saying, just follow through with the video and you're going to go ahead and get it. So now that you're folded in the fabric like this, you're going to go ahead and sew along that line that we used in joining our waistband to the skirt like this. Okay, so make sure that that inner fabric is inside the waistband like this, and you're going to go ahead and sew straight down to cover it up. So I'll go ahead and show you how to do it on the sewing machine. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same process on the two back piece. Okay, so I'll go ahead and fold in my waistband like this, and I'm going to also fold down the other edge, covering that joining. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead now and sew along the lines of my joining, closing the rough edges, creating a neat waistband. Okay, so this is a closer view of how to finish up the creating of the waistband. So like I did earlier, I push in that rough edges, making sure that this my waistband is covering the joining like this, and I'm going to go ahead on my sewing machine and sew along that line. So as I placed it properly, if I sew in along that line, this is going to help hold the other side of the waistband, and also this is going to cover up that joining, creating a neat finished look. Okay, so like I said, just go ahead and sew straight along that line. So that is the essence of folding that other end, so that we are not going to have any rough edges. So go ahead and follow up exactly how I'm doing like this, and repeat the same on the other piece of our skirt. Okay guys, so I've gone ahead and I've sewed down my band on my skirt front piece and two back piece like this. So I'll go ahead now and just cut off the excess. Okay, so if you're having any excess on your waistband, go ahead and cut it off. Okay, so now that I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and keep this front piece aside so that we'll fix our zipper at the back piece. Okay, so I'll go ahead and place my back piece together like this, right side facing the right side. Okay, so this place my arrow is facing is where my zipper is going to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and just mark it to be more pronounced. Like I told you, mark where your zipper is going to be so that you will not get confused. Okay, so I'm going to measure how long I want my zipper to be, which is about 9 inches. So I went ahead and mark, and remember that we gave 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. Okay, so I'll go ahead and mark 1.5 inches straight down. So from that 9 inches point down, I'll go ahead and sew a straight line. Okay, and I'll go ahead and fix my zipper, which is from that beginning of my skirt to my 9 inches point. Okay guys, so I've gone ahead and I've fixed my zip, as you can see. So now the next thing we are going to do is to place our front piece on the back piece like this. So right side facing the right side, I'm going to go ahead and place my front piece to the back piece like this, and I'm going to go ahead now and pin down the sides. Okay guys, so I've gone ahead and I've pinned down the sides of my skirt. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and mark out my seam allowance or the sewing allowance, okay? So remember, while cutting my skirt, I gave about 1.5 inches for my seam allowance. So I'll go ahead now and mark that 1.5 inches on the both sides of my skirt, okay? So go ahead and mark out the seam allowance for yours. So I like marking out mine first so that I can follow it when sewing to make my work more neater and easier, okay? So I've gone ahead and I've marked it out. So I'll go ahead and connect the marks like this, creating the line that I'm going to sew. So I'll go ahead now and sew on the both sides of my skirt like this by 1.5 inches, okay? Okay guys, so I've gone ahead and I've sewed down the sides of my skirt, okay? So this my skirt is not going to have a split. So I'm going to go ahead now and fold all around the hem of my skirt, okay? So go ahead and do the same for yours, all right? Okay guys, so I've gone ahead and I folded down the hem of my skirt, and with that we have finished sewing our pencil skirt with a butt contour. So I'm just going to turn it over so that you can see what the outside looks like, and as you can see, very clean, very neat, okay? So now I'll go ahead and iron it properly and put it on so that you can see what it looks like on me, okay? Okay guys, so this is what it looks like on me, and as you can see, we have created a pencil skirt with a butt contour. Very simple and very easy. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you loved this video. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I would love to see you in my next video. Until next time, bye bye.